Yeah. Yep. Hello. Good evening. Oh, wait a minute. I forgot my thing here. Hold on. Yes, indeed. Hello. Hello, fat dog. How are you? Let's see what's going on. I think Human has a live stream right now. And Sifu Black Irish, I think, has a... Well, hold on. Let me get those links for you. Go there and listen to the live stuff. Let's see. Yeah, Human. Yeah, he's live. Okay. Yeah, I don't know if you can hear this or not, but that's all right. Just pause that. Looks like he started going about an hour ago. So if you want to catch him, better go do that right away. Rib Grunt. Hello. World Series is on. Oh, no shit. I didn't know that. Oh, I'm going to have to turn on the TV then. I guess we'll do a quick one here, and then we'll get to the World Series. Yeah, I like baseball. Who's playing? It's the Houston and Atlanta, right? Yeah, should be all right. Anyway, so I was taking a nap, and I got up, started listening to my phone, and I came across this fella here, David Stewart. His opinion of men doing what they want with their own lives. And as you probably guess, I might have a couple of disagreements. Let's go.
All right. So what's my opinion on MGTOW? I've had a lot of people ask me to make content on this over the past year or two. And
keep in mind, this was filmed June 2018. So it's been 3 years. Nothing really has changed in 3 years, has it, fellas? No.
I haven't really gotten around to it. There's a couple reasons why I haven't done so yet.
You know, it's interesting that this was actually during the Medusa sort of movement that happened around that time. Harvey Weinstein and all those people. Remember that? That'll become relevant here momentarily.
First big one, just priorities. There's a lot of other stuff that I would prefer to focus on, like story writing, music, criticism, books, and movies. That I think is more.
I think we'll find that maybe you should just stick to that and stay out of this conversation.
Fun. That I think the channel viewers want more, but I know that there's a lot of young men who watch this channel that asked me to give my opinion on MGTOW.
Yeah, and it's the young men really that need to know this information. Now, David eventually is going to come around. Well, let him say it.
Second reason is MGTOW is a rather amorphous ideology and hard to pin down.
Is it now? Really? JR, hello. Fabian Frina. Vestak, how's it going? What's up? JD is here. Hey, JD. What's got fat dog? Why should we care what he has to say? Well, I don't know. It's semi-interesting. So let's just go through a couple things here, because he will make the point here shortly. Wow, these young men shouldn't be listening to this crap, right? No, it's actually young men that need to listen to these messages from people. Us old guys, we just like to bitch. The young guys actually can step on a lot of landmines if they don't know what they're getting themselves into. Go on, David.
If you don't know what it stands for, men going their own way is what it stands for.
Yes. Or men doing what they want to do with their own lives.
And that's a great strategic definition, but not one that accurately describes what goes on as far as what's on MGTOW content, which I've watched a lot of.
Yeah, I'm sure, David, you could find whatever you want to on the internet. I'm sure there's some stuff out there that is probably nasty. But Sandman, that you bring up? No, come on now.
And what tends to be talked about among MGTOW communities. And the third reason is that people involved in MGTOW communities tend to swarm a lot. It's kind of like dealing with feminists. And if you're offended by that comparison, just look at anyone who's critical of MGTOW.
Here's what I will say. There is a similarity, but just surface similarity. Fembots wanted women to have options to choose what they want to do with their lives. So they weren't pigeonholed into just being housewives or whatever, right? They could do whatever they wanted to with their own. They can make choices and blah, blah, blah. And it's fine. That's good. Great. Wonderful. Of course, it's been bastardized into something far different. But we'll get to that maybe after a while. That is lauded, David. See, when women decide, I'm going to be a career girl, go to college, jump on the carousel, have all the fun they want, get married, have kids, have whatever the hell they want to do, it's lauded. You go girl power, right? Rosie the Riveter. However, David, it's interesting that when certain group of men that say, you know what, I don't want to do that whole traditional thing. I don't want to get married. I think it's a bad deal. And women, you could be accused of things. It's just, I'm just not into it, right? Just don't want to deal with it. It's not hatred of women, David. It's not misogynistic. It's nothing like that. But yet you're going to portray it as that. So my point is, if it's you go girl is praised from the top to government, media, look at the movies, you got what? Batman is now a woman or something, whatever. That's great. It's fantastic. Nothing wrong with that. Do what you want, right? With your life. When men decide to do it, however, toxic, evil, those misogynistic haters of women. Why is that not said about women who choose not to get married? You ever wonder about that, David? Really? Why is it good if the female does it, but it's bad if men do? Interesting to contemplate, huh? Let's continue.
They tend to spend a lot of time on the internet, and they're all anonymous, and they tend to attack quite viciously when they're criticized. And so, if you,
well, I mean, some do. I will not disagree. I'm not going to disagree with you there. Sure.
If I'm going to make any kind of content talking about MGTOW as a person who isn't MGTOW, I'm basically poking a hornet's nest.
Well, I read through your comments on this video, David. There was nothing in there that bad, Must Know was in here. I haven't seen Must Know for a while. But even his comment was not bad. Most of it was like, we really don't think you are understanding the concept all that well. David, there's no hate. And I'll put the link in the chat here. Don't go hate on the guy. You could certainly, explain maybe your point of view. Maybe he's not seeing some things clearly, maybe, perhaps. Riggs is here spreading his herpes. Chris Mitchell has arrived. Hello, Chris. How are you? I hear the World Series is on. That's probably more exciting, but we'll continue with David. Okay, David, go ahead.
So I have to kind of decide when I want to do that. And I guess there's no better time than the present. So what's my opinion of MGTOW?
Yes. What is your opinion of men doing what they want to do with their own lives? What would that be?
I'm not a fan of it.
Oh, well, who'da thunk?
And I'm going to talk about in this video narratives.
Oh,
because narratives play a big part into my criticisms of MGTOW and why I think if you're a young man watching this and you've watched a lot of MGTOW content from Sandman or any of these other channels,
yeah.
I think it's a good idea to avoid watching this content.
Well, here's where I'm going to have to greatly disagree with you, David. I think it is of the utmost importance for young men to understand what potentially they could be walking into, especially if they go to college, especially college. Remember, I mean, I was 18 once. I was kind of stupid. You're kind of immature and whatever. And so you arrive on the college campus, there's all these women everywhere, right? Everybody wants to have fun, have a good time, drink beer, whatever. And of course, bada bing, right? Now, if young men do not understand that night of bada bing could lead to them being removed from college based on her word alone, they need to know this, David. This is not fantasy. This is not women hating. This is reality. Now, this was 2018. In 2011, David, you might recall, then again, maybe you don't, I don't know, the Dear Colleague letter from the Obama administration. And basically what that says was, if there is an accusation of, you know what I'm talking about, right? That would be handled internally. A kangaroo court, so to speak, on the college campus. So the judge, jury, executioner are all fembots. Not the police, not the court system, no lawyers allowed. Just a bunch of angry, bitter fembots. Determines a young man's future based upon the word of a female. Are you familiar with this, David? In other words, let's put a little story together so you might catch it. Let's just say young Johnny Appleseed from the farm goes to the big city college. He's new, he's freshman, and everybody's wanting to have fun, party, get with the women's, have a good time, and so on and so forth. The women want to do that. The young men want to do that. It's just, right? You're young. You want to have fun. Get it. Let's just say Johnny Appleseed meets a girl at the frat party. Has no idea how much liquor she has drunk. He just arrived and she's there. She's interested. They go and do the thing. The next day, David, or from that day forward until he is done with college, she can report him to the Title IX office and say that he did something to her without her consent. She had too much to drink. She didn't say yes. Anything. And that young man's life could be ruined. That's the situation we are in today, David. Now, maybe it was different when you went to college. It certainly was with when I went to college. I mean, of course, I would never ever think about doing something like that anyway. But it doesn't matter. It's whatever she feels, David. I felt like I didn't give consent, or I never would have slept with him. He's a loser. It must have been something unwanted. Do you think young men should know that they could find themselves on the wrong end of Title IX when they go to college? Do you think that'd be an important thing for young men to know? David, I think it's very, very important for young men especially to understand the situation and to act accordingly. I see nothing wrong with that. Now, if you want to lump that information, that good advice and information and knowledge in with a bunch of people who hate women, that's fine. I don't care what the hell you do. If you come across some channels with men doing what they want with their own lives and they're bitching about women, don't watch those channels then. Go somewhere else. I mean, please.
Should you be a man who goes his own way? Short answer would be yes, particularly if you're young. That's because you need to invest in yourself and you need to work on making yourself a really good person before always trying to have a mate in your life.
In other words, man, you are expected to provide resources. See? He just said it himself. David, you hear what you're saying? You have to build up your resources so you can attract women. What if I just want to build up resources just because I want them? What if I don't want to get married? Why is that put down? And at the same time, women who don't want to are lauded. I don't understand, David.
That's just some general life advice. I've given that before. But if you're spending your time kind of ingesting all of this content, I'm really not a fan of it because it tends to be very negative. And the more you repeat a story in your head, the more real it becomes.
So is Title IX a story, David? Is that just something we're making up? It's not really happening, hamster. What are you talking about? The more you tell yourself that story, hamster, the more you're going to believe it. David, it's not a story. That is federal law. under Title IX of the Education Act, it was 1972, which incidentally was put in effect to provide women the same opportunities to play sports as men. That was the original goal, to not take away opportunities for women and just have men's football teams, or women could play football, whatever name. Yeah, sure. Absolutely. That was the original goal until it was bastardized by the Obama administration saying, oh, by the way, you shall have kangaroo courts. If a man is accused, no evidence is required either, by the way. Brah. Am I making that up? Am I just pulling that out of thin air? David, would you like the link to the letter? Would you like to see the letter from 2011? That's not a story I'm telling myself. David, that is real. And young men who don't know what the hell could happen to them if they participate in certain activities on a college campus, they can find themselves without a career. Who is going to take someone who was kicked off of campus, who was accused of that? Just wondering. See? Just like that. She can ruin a man's life. Oh, but not all women. I'm not saying all women. Did I? No. All I'm saying is that all women have that power. I'm not saying they're all going to use it. Actually, it's probably not used all that often. But it's enough where thousands and thousands of men over the last 10 years have been kicked out of college. Merely on the accusation. Whether anything happened or not is irrelevant. Do you understand, David? That's not a story. That's reality. Go on.
And the more different ways a story is iterated before you, the more you start to think that that's reality.
Okay, I would really love for you to bring up one of these stories, David. I'd like to hear an example. Could you give us something?
The narrative is extremely powerful. And the narrative in MGTOW is one of predominantly an extremely negative, nihilistic, and egoistic approach to life, and one that I think is very toxic to your way of thinking.
Of course, see? Yes. Excuse me. David, I'm sure you can find toxic men claiming Crimson Capsule or whatever on the internet somewhere. I'm sure you can find them. But what about the ones that aren't, that are spreading information that young men need to know? Should we point out a few of those channels, David? Nah, let's just concentrate on those evil ones.
So if you're a young man...
I mean, really, am I an evil channel? What am I doing? I'm not bashing women. I'm just saying, hey, this could happen, guys. Keep it in your pants. Don't deal with that. That's just good advice. It's not hatred. But go on.
I would encourage you to avoid thinking that way. And if you want something that is an alternative, Jordan Peterson or Stefan Molyneux.
I like Jordan Peterson. Don't get me wrong. I do. He's an interesting fellow. But he's been married for 40 years or something like that. I do not believe anything he says about the current dating and relationship scene, because he has no experience. David, even in the last 3 years since you did this video, things have changed exponentially. You didn't know what OnlyFans was, did you? 3 years ago. Now you do. See? That's just one example. TikTok. Go on TikTok. Go look. There's chicks putting their waps all over everything. You know what I'm saying? Things have changed that much in 3 years. Imagine over the last 40. Peterson is out of his league when he starts talking about dating and all that crap. No, he's just not there. Sorry. And Molyneux, by the way, David, Stefan Molyneux got kicked off YouTube about a year ago. Of course, you would have known that because this was 3 years ago.
Talk about the same sort.
Oh, that's because Stefan Molyneux is some kind of a national socialist or something. or he's a white supreme pizza, or whatever the hell they accused him of, which is nonsense. Absolute nonsense. But YouTube decided to cancel him anyway. Go on.
Sort of stuff. But they're married men. They have kids. And viewing the differences between men and women in realistic terms, but not in a misogynist kind of way, I think is a more healthy approach. And it's also a more realistic approach.
Excuse me, David, hold on. You really have to define what you mean by misogynist. Because, you know, that's a pretty wide gamut. I'm guessing, David, you believe misogyny is criticizing women, don't you? Don't you, David? Professor Pestilence is here. You're getting shadow banned. I couldn't find it. Huh, really? Okay. Well, I'm glad you showed up, Professor. Good to see you. Cheeto is here. Rib Grunt is still here. Peterson's is well, I really enjoy. I spelled David's name wrong. Sorry, I'll get that fixed. I enjoy Peterson's take on a lot of things, but when it comes to dating, no. No. I mean, at least Molyneux, you know, he's a little younger. He's only been married, 10 years, 15 years, something like that. So he has experienced at least some of the apocalypse that we've come to know as the dating market these days. Zombro is here. Hello, Eric. How are you? Let's go back to David. And sorry, David, I spelled your name wrong. I'll fix that.
And I'll dig into this. And so,
getting back to, you need to use, you need to define your terms. I want to know what you mean by misogyny, because that would be good to know. But for now, I'm going to assume that you mean criticism of women. Go ahead.
My first big negative criticism of MGTOW, men going their own ways. Men going their own way does not describe what MGTOW content is or what.
Well, again, it depends on what content you're watching. You mentioned Sandman and other channels like that, I think you said. Sandman is he's the farthest thing from toxic you could possibly imagine. I mean, I haven't listened to him for a while. I don't like his voice, you know. But I mean, his content is spot on. There's nothing misogynistic about it. Oh, wait, in your opinion, it would be, because he's criticizing women.
What MGTOWs talk about, or what the ideology sort of proclaims of life ought to be lived by, or how you ought to live your life.
Or maybe it's just men doing what they want to do with their own lives. How about that?
So if you go and you watch any of these channels on YouTube, you can type in MGTOW on YouTube and watch it. You can watch something by Sandman. About 90% of the content I've seen. Yeah. And if you guys are upset, if you're MGTOW watching this and you're getting your keyboard ready to attack me,
I'm not upset. Really?
Keep in mind, I'm applying the same standard to MGTOW that I apply to everything, which is I judge things based on what I observe from them, not what people say that they are. So someone's going to come in, they're going to say that's not real MGTOW, just like.
Mm-hmm. No, who knows? You mentioned Sandman. That's it. And if you think he's toxic, you really oh my God, yeah, that's nothing.
Like if I do a critical video, in fact,
I mean, and I'm not denying reality. There are some channels that will not be mentioned that get a little bit, yeah. Sandman would not be one of those.
Feminism. People say it's not real feminism.
And Stefan Molyneux really wasn't either. He was just more talking about philosophy and evolutionary sort of stuff. I always watched him. I thought he was interesting.
Or I say, hey, this is a really bad example of feminism. They're like, you're giving feminism. Feminism's another one of those amorphous things. So,
not really. And you know what the difference is between fembots and men doing what they want with their own lives? The government. The fembots have the full backing of the government through laws, through various things. Title IX, as I just mentioned. Fembots have the backing of the government. Men doing what they want with their own lives, they're not playing along, see? They're not wanting to be a tax S word. You see what I'm saying? They don't want to do that. Government doesn't like men who don't want to play the game. Do you see? It's not what they want.
People are going to say that. I'm just judging by what I observe. What I observe is 90%.
90%. All right.
Of the content is just about women.
Yeah. That's right. I don't know why people bring up this stupid straw man all the time. So what? That's what men talk about. Because, women are a pretty important part of men's lives. And what's more important is to let men know who have not had this experience what they could be in for. Wise man learns from other people's experiences. You see, David. Oh, yeah. Well, who hurt you? Go ahead.
And it's about how women are bad.
Some women are, yes. Some women are bad news. Yes. Just like some men are bad. Bad news. Vast majority of us are probably somewhere in the middle, average. But there are some bad apples. The problem, David, is simply this. Women have the backing of the government. You understand the difference?
And there's bad women. Women carry their makeup with them. They only care about how they look, and they're bad. They're going to divorce you and take all your money. And there's always these narratives that run through it. Well,
women wear makeup, so what? Yeah, some guys are probably, I'm sure, women and their fake up and their fake. I don't care about their makeup. But let's be honest. Young women want to attract men if they're straight. So they get spiffed up. So what? I mean, geez. I don't have a problem with it. So I don't know where these people are that are saying that, but I'm sure they're somewhere.
The narrative.
I'm sure there are channels somewhere that says that and worse.
Something like this. Women are shallow. They're only interested in hypergamy.
It's not that they're interested. It is their mode of operation, David. Interested. It's in their DNA. And there's nothing wrong with hypergamy. You want to get the best mate, the best genes, the best looking dude. I get it. The problem is out of control, hypergamy. Where instead of just trying to find the best mate or whatever, you sample all of them and then expect to be rewarded with Prince Charming at the end of your carousel ride. That's out of control hypergamy. Regular hypergamy is fine. That's why we're still here as a species. This out of control, exponential, hypergamy. That's only in the last 10, 15, 20 years, man. This is something we have not seen before in human history. It is frightening. There is no control. No control, no self-control. There doesn't have to be. Why? Because there are no penalties for women to do whatever the hell they want. It's encouraged, David. And some women take advantage of it. Well, what if men had the same opportunity as women do today? I'm sure we would all be acting just as nasty. We're humans after all. I mean, come on. However, the opportunities are not presented to men with respect to that as they are presented to women. You know that to be true, David. That's not misogyny. That's reality. That's the way it works. Women have far more opportunities to be bad, so to speak, than most men do. Go on.
Everything they do is to attract a higher status mate.
Yes.
They're not trustworthy.
What's wrong with that? Do you want to have the best, healthiest kid? Yeah, that's fine. It's the out of control hypergamy, David. See, are you trying to conflate the two here? Women have always gone for the biggest and the best and the most status. That's fine. But today it's out of control. It is hypergamy, hypercubed hypergamy. And that's not good. That's not healthy for this society. It's not good for women either. Go on.
Trustworthy. They don't invest in their intellect or their future. They'll divorce you and take your money at the first opportunity.
We're going to talk more about that here in a minute, David. But yes, it is possible that could happen.
All of these narratives that a man doesn't want to happen to him, particularly a young man, here's these narratives. He's going to think that those are reality. And then
it's a possible reality, David. Just like it's possible I could go outside and get hit by a comet. Unlikely, but it could happen. Let's talk more about marriages and divorces, shall we?
Then they tend to commit the same exact sin that feminists do, which is to ascribe to the particular the qualities of the general, and back again, to ascribe to the general the qualities of the particular.
You mean all men are grapefruit artists, right? That's certainly not true. And yet...
So they say, well, 50% of marriages end in divorce.
That's not exactly a correct statistic. But I have heard that. Where that comes from is you look at the marriage rate versus the divorce rate per year. For every 2 couples that get married, 1 gets divorced. That's a fact. There's no getting around that one.
Therefore,
in the United States,
I have a 50% chance to get divorced to a woman. Why would I take that risk of marrying a woman and having her divorce me and take all my money?
Yeah, and the kids. Yeah, that is a serious question. A cost-benefit analysis. David, see. And we don't have to go down the rabbit hole, but, marriage at one time was to gain access to the poon. You don't have to get married anymore to do that, David, you see? See how things have changed?
So they write this narrative. And part of this narrative is that they have money and that they have so many resources to lose.
It doesn't matter how much money you have. If you get divorced, they're going to take whatever you have. They meaning the government. You're going to have to set out a chunk of your salary for your kids, for child support, and as you should, they're your children. But then there's that alimony business. Remember that old patriarchal thing? It seems the fembots they don't say a damn thing about that. The only time they bitch about alimony, David, is when a female has to pay the man. Then it's unfair.
That they don't want to get married, that they have to protect and hoard their resources.
Yeah, well, there's that. Well, number one, if you don't have resources, you're probably not going to get married anyway, because no woman's going to want to be interested. So, you said it earlier, right? Concentrate on getting your bag, right? Get yourself all whatever. Well, that's the way you attract women. You have a job and a decent salary. And good-looking helps.
I've known a couple dudes who had so much money that they really needed prenups and things like that.
I bet Jeff Bezos wishes he would have had. Yeah, how many billions of dollars? $30 billion she took from him. Yeah,
and prenups don't really hold up in court, by the way.
That's right, they don't. All she has to say, he coerced me. He was abusive. He made me sign it. We all know how that works, guys, right? Might as well just wipe your ass with it and you get more value out of that prenup. That's for sure.
Just a warning. Don't think a prenup is going to save you from marrying a partner that you are doubtful about whether you can stay with him.
It's not going to matter.
You marry somebody that you're going to...
you're going to have an army of lawyers to craft it so she couldn't get out of it somehow. Or he. Depending.
Stay with a long time. Just a piece of advice.
Who was it? Adele had to give a bunch of money to. Oh, the fembots really hated that, didn't they?
Because I've seen them.
Why should he get her money? She earned it. Yeah, good point.
Get kind of thrown out in court. Anyway, back.
Why did Jeff Bezos' wife get half of his? He earned it.
To the subject at hand. So 50% of marriages end in divorce. Therefore, my marriage has a 50% chance of ending in divorce.
You could look at it that way, I suppose.
That's not the way statistics work, guys.
Really? Well, give us a lesson there, David.
These are the same people who say, if I meet a black person on the street, I know that they have a higher likelihood of being a criminal. It's like, no, that individual has no higher likelihood of being anything.
Okay.
Statistics, especially regarding human behavior, are derived by a collection of individuals creating the statistic, not.
There are trends, David. You're right. Not all black guys are criminals. However, it seems that a certain demographic, there are a lot of criminals, or not all black guys have baby mamas and all that. But there's a trend in that direction. You see.
Not the other way around. Statistics do not govern individual behavior.
Really? 70%. 70% of African American children in the United States are born out of wedlock. 70%. Is that also a lie, David? If I said you have a 70% chance when you're born, if you're African American, when you're born, you won't have a daddy. Is that a lie?
So if you meet a woman, she doesn't have a 50% chance of divorcing you. No. And another part of the assumption of this 50% divorce is that they're evenly distributed.
Okay. Please continue our lesson.
Amongst all women and all couples, and that this will somehow have some effect on your marriage. No, that's not reality. Your destiny is up to you. If you
Oh my God, David. Really?
pick a good partner that doesn't want to divorce you, and you make sure ahead of time that this is a person you're going to be with the rest of your life. And
trust me, David, I've been divorced, so you call me bitter or whatever. I don't care. The woman you marry is not the same person when you get divorced. You will see another side of that human being that you've never seen. Ever. There is no way to tell. I mean, there's obvious things, right? But she could be sweet and kind and gentle and everything. Once you get in the fucking divorce court, bro, it's like it's a different human being entirely. Trust me. I hope you never have to go through it because it sucks. But you never really know your wife until she becomes your ex. And it's like, oh my God.
You're committed continually.
I mean, am I wrong there, guys? I don't think so. I mean, even just breaking up with a woman, you discover things about her. It's like, holy shit. Really? Polska Bob is here. Prenups are fancy toilet paper. That's right. They mean nothing. It's just like, let's go on. Go ahead.
Staying with that marriage, you're not going to get divorced.
You see, David, you really, as a man, have no say in that, do you? Or as a woman, for that matter. No fault divorce. However, here's the thing, David. Let's keep this in mind. No matter who files for divorce, she gets cash and prizes. Doesn't matter if she's cheating on you, she's a drug addict, she could be, or he, whatever. Doesn't make any difference. She still gets the kids most of the time. And in a state where they have alimony, she gets alimony. Cash, prizes, and the kids. No matter what. David, that's the way the law is in this country. So, knowing that, why would any sane man sign that contract? That at any time she can take it all. And I just don't mean resources. I mean the kids. Your children. Your genetics gone. Like that. For no reason.
But that's up to you. That's in your power. And if you do pick a woman who decides to divorce you after 8 years and take alimony for life and take your kids away from you, you might have chosen a really crappy woman, and that's still your responsibility. So whether,
as I said, David, you never really know your wife until you divorce her. And then the claws come out. Trust me.
whether or not you get divorced is very much in your control.
No, it's not. No, it is not, David. It used to be. It used to be at some point in the past, there had to be some reason why he cheated on her, she cheated, something. Now it's whatever the hell she feels like. Or he. No, David, it is not in your control. Absolutely not. Not with the government involved. Trust me.
As a man, you are not subject to some statistic that's governing you. Likewise, women are not, an individual woman is not subject to any kind of statistic governing women.
David, we can recognize trends.
So some statistic that governs women may say that women tend to do this.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
50% of women, or 25% of women are on antidepressants. You meet a woman's like, she's got like 1 in 4 chance of being on antidepressants. Like,
yeah.
You ignore all other information, like that could possibly.
I mean, maybe I'm just stupid, but if 25% of women are on some kind of antidepressant, I think it's 40%, but whatever. So you take 4 women randomly, one of them will be on antidepressants. What, did I miss something?
Give you any kind of ability to make a judgment on a person, and you just isolate them down to women. So when you look at statistics, they tend to say, well, women are like this, therefore they're bad.
Some women are like that, and therefore some women are bad. I'm not sure what you're trying to say here, really. You're probably listening to the Sandman when he does his videos, all women are this. I don't think so. I think it's the rare channel that says all women are this. All women have the potential to be that, to be a garden tool. All women could be. It's not saying all women are, right? At least that's the way I look at it.
Well, not all women are like that, just like not all men are rapists, even though the majority of rapes are committed by men.
99.9% of men are not. Just in case you were wondering. Yet, fembots say we all are, right? No. That is not true.
It's like, well,
that is a scare tactic. Drive men and women apart.
Only a feminist would look at a man as a potential rapist, knowing that there's some percentage of men who are rapists.
They don't care. Especially the fembots. They don't care what the reality is. Sir, we can talk about statistics all day. You want to talk 1 in 5, 1 in 4? Absolute bullshit. It's made up nonsense to scare women. That's what that is.
It's
not true, by the way. Thank God. You think the feminists would be parading in the streets celebrating that is not real, but they're not. Why is that, David? Given any thought to that?
Like that things are evenly distributed, going back to that. So if I bring it back to race, if you meet a black individual on the street and you're like, oh, I know that more black people are in gangs than anything else, so this person's more likely than a white person to be in a gang. No, those things aren't evenly distributed. You meet.
Well, now I'm no big statistic guy, but most things are Gaussian normal distribution curves. Just normal distribution curve, not a okay.
A black individual at the ATM and he's wearing a suit. He's not very likely to be in a gang, is he?
I don't know.
There's a whole lot of.
However, if you run into, say, a young African American man who's got the pants falling off and got the Air Jordans or whatever on, and got some, maybe some gold teeth or whatever, hanging out in a hood, that might be a chance, but maybe not. You don't know. But we have trends.
Things that make him an individual besides him just being black. Just like with any woman, there's a whole lot of things that go into being an individual woman besides her being a woman.
Yes, women are human. They're all individual. Okay.
So that's the main thing. They're always committing these statistical sins, or this is something that I see very, very common with MGTOW channels on YouTube. They had a bad relationship experience in their past.
Who hasn't? Who hasn't, David?
And so now women are to be avoided. Women as a category are bad and to be avoided.
No, they're not bad. Women are fine. The government, however, has laws in effect that greatly favor the female in divorce court, in child custody. For God's sake, David, there's still affirmative action for women in this country. Did you know that? Women are the majority of people in this country. And yet they still get a handout, a hand up, a giveaway from the government. Affirmative action. That's because women were underrepresented in certain fields. Okay, sure. What about now? Men are now the minority. Do we get that? No, we do not. Why is that, David?
And that's really how they want to live their life. They look at, and it's not an uncommon thing.
And the sad part is all these laws are put in effect by men. Oh,
women do the same thing. They have a bad breakup with a man, and they're like, I'm not gonna date men.
I mean, that's the normal part of life, right? You break up with people. Not every relationship is going to work out. I mean, geez.
So it's not just men who do this. It's men who build an ideology around the idea that they need to avoid women.
Well, I mean, there are some hardcore, monks that don't want anything to do. That's fine. It's perfectly okay, though, David. You see, men, too, can choose what to do with their own lives, just like women can. See, there's nothing wrong with it. It's not evil. It's not toxic. It's just men choosing to do what they want. And some of them choose not to get married. I don't see a problem with that. Because it's not a problem.
That's an interesting thought.
I mean, it could be. Okay, we could go down the rabbit hole. Yeah, for society, it might be eventually. But, I mean, this ship's probably effed up anyway. It's probably too far gone to go.
But so I see a lot of these guys, they have a bad relationship, and therefore...
Or a series of them. Or maybe they had a good relationship and she decided to go away because the gardener was better looking.
Women ought to be avoided.
Well, again, it's a personal choice.
You can't find any good women. All the women I meet are thoughts. And so you start to tell a narrative that all women in this category are this way because I've had an experience in the past that seems to confirm this narrative. Then,
Well, I mean, again, there's trends, I mean, there's there's plenty of women who, are thought like, go to the club, do all that crap all the time. Yeah, if you go to the club, you're probably thinking, oh my God, all these women are whatever. Yeah, it's not really true. There are other women that are not, clubbing and doing all that crap. Right. So yeah, no, I don't disagree with you totally.
Narratives that we tell tend to create the reality that we expect in the future.
Okay.
And this is natural. If you meet 3 people in a row and each of them stab you, you're just going to assume everybody stabs.
See, I wouldn't. I don't know. I'm not sure I would do that.
So if you're only meeting...
I would say those 3 people stabbed. Not everybody. That's silly.
Women who are low quality, then you're going to assume all women are low quality, and you're not going to think about how that distribution actually works or what you're...
Well, you see, you're going to have to define your terms, David. What do you consider to be low quality? She's riding the carousel. Maybe you don't care about that. Maybe some people do. I don't know. Is that a low quality woman in your eyes? Maybe it's not to some guys. I don't know. What is low quality? You'd have to define that for us, wouldn't you? Because that could be a lot of different things depending on the person.
You're doing to attract low quality women, or what you're doing to find the low quality women, or how you might alter that to find women of a different quality.
Mm-hmm. No. It's not terrible advice, right? If you're only picking up your girlfriends at the club, well, maybe you're not getting the best. Just saying.
Rather, it's easier to just say, all women are thoughts. Let's not deal with them.
All women have the potential to be garden tools, David. Not all women are. Now, if you get a channel that says all women are, well, okay, maybe go watch a different channel. I don't know. But they're not all, but they all have the ability to, if that makes sense. Let's read the comments. MGTOW Cowboy. This guy sounds like a lefty. I don't know who he is. I think he writes books and stuff. I'm not sure. I just ran into him. I'm not familiar with him at all. I'm not saying he's a bad guy. I just think his take on this is a little bit interesting. One fast act. Riggs Jr. I just might what? What are you gonna do? Riggs, her energies, her insecure energies. Go on.
And so the content reflects that. It's 90% just anti-female content.
Is it anti-female or anti-female behavior? I'm guessing it's not anti-female. It's the behaviors of some female that we think is bad. And that's where we get the misogyny. How do you define that? I'm sure you can find channels out there where men actually hate women, female. They hate them. But I think you're going to find a lot more channels that dislike the behavior that some women do, some of the actions.
Content about how women are bad. And very little of it has any kind of thought for the female perspective. So it's like, oh, women, the thing women care most about is their makeup, because they,
again, who cares about makeup?
carry with them everywhere they go.
Right.
You know, that's a really, it's a deeply cynical thing to think about women, but it's also very unempathetic. Why don't you date women who don't wear makeup then? Why?
Okay, sure. Or maybe not. I just don't want to date women.
Why don't you make that as
I hate them, right? Got
some
it.
qualifier if you hate makeup? I don't see any of these MGTOW men dating the opposite of what they complain about. It's like, oh, all these thoughts at the gym taking selfies. It's like, okay, well then talk to the girl at the gym who's not. Talk to the.
Do you think do you think average men can land the gym thotty? Really?
Girl at the gym who's fat.
Okay.
Talk to the girl at the gym who's wearing baggy clothes and doesn't want men to look at her or doesn't care how she looks. Why aren't you talking to her?
Well, because if you say the wrong thing, David, you could be kicked out of the gym. You understand my point?
Why aren't you talking to the girl with pimples? Why aren't you talking to the girl who doesn't care about how she looks? Well, of course, I want a girl who's hot, you know, or, you know, they never date.
Wanting a girl that is hot is fine. Getting one is a whole different story.
Date ugly girls. They never say the MGTOW movement isn't like, well, let's reject the pretty superficial girls and let's go date the ones who read books all the time and have pimples.
Do you think those women who read books all the time are not out thotting around, bro? Really?
No.
You funny.
Because they're gonna well, those are feminists.
I mean, yeah, well, whatever.
It's like, okay, well, what do you want? Like, what do you want from life?
I want to be peaceful and happy and have resources. Just do what I want. I know. What a concept. I want to do what I want with my own life. Oh my God, he's evil. The Invisible Rabbit. This commie makes me want, well, okay. Ballistic Zero, let me get this straight. Hello, Ballistic. Brandon Trueblood, I would have to say RPM hates women, but most of us don't hate women. I don't hate women. I don't. It's just I somehow Well, good evening, Salty Monkey. Hello. Silver Bullet says, I'm 52, myself, single, own my own home, loving. Yeah. I mean, I don't I don't have a house yet. I haven't decided to do that, but maybe probably get a house. Nothing extravagant though. I you know, I was looking at some of the houses in the neighborhood over here. I'm like, Jesus. I mean, it would almost be a full-time job just vacuuming the damn things. They're so big. It's crazy. Bolska Bob's on a smoke break. Mick Butler, I got health issues anyway. All right. So what else is going on here? Let's see. Who's RPM? By the way, I'm not sure who that is. Red Pill something? I don't know. Who is it? Turd Flinging Monkey. I think he used to be. Well, there was several guys. There was a lot of that going on. But I think in general, a lot of that has kind of calmed down and went to a different corner of the internet. I don't go to that corner, so I don't know what the hell is going on there. But I mean, I listen to Human, for example, who's live streaming, or he was anyway. Does he hate women? I don't think so. Not at all.
So that's a big one.
I mean, Stefan Molyneux, he doesn't hate women. Jordan Peterson doesn't hate women. I don't think Sandman hates women. I don't think Hammerhand hates women. Or even Undead Chronic. It's not hatred. It's pointing out the behaviors that are objectionable to a particular man.
When is this big generalization and this strong anti-female sentiment. And if you let your mind...
Anti-female behavior that is allowed, yes. Not anti-woman.
But
go ahead and keep thinking whatever you want, David. I mean, I don't care.
Get exposed to these narratives over and over again. You're going to start thinking that way. You're going to think negative thoughts about 50% of the people on Earth, which is not healthy.
No, I agree with that. So tell that to the fembots who believe that, men are all evil and toxic. They actually believe that, though, you see. They actually believe it. Just because we're men, we're evil, you see.
And I can tell you as a married man,
yeah,
I really like being married. I like being a father.
Good for you. Congratulations. I'm glad it's working out for you.
I can't tell you how good it is because it's like describing ice cream to somebody who's never had ice cream.
And what's he going to do now? Describe ice cream.
Well, how do you describe it? It's cold and it's wet and it's creamy and it's solid, but it's also liquid and solid at the same time.
Mm-hmm.
And it's sweet, but it's also rich and filling.
I think you did a pretty good job. Okay, yeah.
Like, how do you describe ice cream to somebody who's never had it?
You just did.
It's like having kids. People who haven't had kids, all they see is that people with kids are busy and are worried about their kids. And they're like,
oh, yeah. Yeah. Well, it's not like getting a pet, for sure.
Well, it must suck to have kids. Like,
it's another human being.
No, it's amazing. It's the best thing ever.
Yeah.
But I can't accurately describe it to you or tell you about the fulfillment that is.
Yeah, no. I hear you. Yeah.
Or people say, oh, kids are such a pain. Like, oh, anything that's worth doing in life is a pain.
I mean, there are a lot of work. It definitely changes your life. Even if you're married, you don't have any kids, you just can't do things anymore because you got the kids. You got a big responsibility there. So, yeah, it does change your life. And I'm not saying bad. I'm just saying it's different. It's a different phase of life, right? You can't just pack up and take 3-day weekends or anything because you got to do something with the kids.
I write books.
I mean, it's bad enough just having a cat or two. How are you going to, well, cats are pretty self-sufficient, but like a dog, the dog, you can't just leave a bunch of food out. He's got to go to the bathroom and all that.
You think?
I mean, cats, they kind of take care of themselves.
I think it's easy to sit around and write books and like sit in front of a a computer screen for hours on end.
I don't know.
To create something that not that many people really care about. No, I do it because the satisfaction from it is really, really tremendous.
And I think it's fair to say that a lot of the men going their own way content creators do it for the same reason. We've already been there. We got the scars, right? We got all of it. And we share it with young men for many, many, many reasons. It's not to hate women. It's just say, hey, you've heard a lot of this crap when you were growing up. Girls are sugar and spice and everything nice, blah, 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 blah. they're just as capable of doing really nasty things as men are. You know, they're just humans. We're just hairless monkeys. And so men need to know, especially the young guys. They got to know that it's not all sugar and spice. There's other stuff there that you got to be aware of. And especially the things that can make you a pariah to society, such as being accused of grapefruit in college. You understand me? So that's what I think really the goal of this stuff. This is what we do. It's really a labor of love, really, if you think about it. We're trying to help, you know? Yeah, if you get on some of these channels, all women suck and blah, no. That's not true. But all women have the potential to suck. Okay? Probably the vast majority of them don't. Well, you know what I mean. I just... Polska Bob, Ohio Dan did a great vid called Indifference Top 3. Really? Okay. Ohio Dan. Okay, I've never heard of Ohio Dan. R. Vero, some spices that burns down... Fire crotch girls. Yeah. Mark Bell, we have hair. It's fur that we... Oh, okay. We're furless monkeys. That's true. Yeah, okay. Ballistic Zero, I beg to differ, Riggs. I learned via people telling me stories and shit. Man only learn through pain. He will see that we were right. Well, I hope it never happens to him. I mean, I'm sure he's a decent fella. You know, I have nothing to say about him. But I sure hope he doesn't have to go through the whole divorce. I hope no one ever does. Because it is a real freaking pain in the ass. And it's a real eye-opener. I mean, I'm not kidding. You never really know that woman until you're getting divorced. And oh my God. Oh my God. I could tell you stories about my, it's just, oof-da. We won't go there. Riggs, if you got common sense, Ballistic, you do as we do and try to learn off others. Yeah. Just learn from other people's experiences. JR, shitstorm. Zombro, that's true. Yeah. The saying is, I think it's intelligent people learn from their mistakes. Wise people learn from other people's mistakes. So there you go. All right, I'm going to wrap it up. I don't know. I might do another one. We'll see if we can get Polska on here drinking vodka and talking crap. I will see you guys later. Have a good one.